a coat of sleek pale fur over a black wool dress. Her eye caught his, and he saw that she also recognized him. She gave him a quick, faint smile, a smile that was conspiratorial, rueful, gay, ever so slightly embarrassed, all those things expressed as only an actress of her caliber could express them. Camargue countered with a smile of his own, the best he could do. It was still snowing. Sheila Wexford put an umbrella up and made an elegant dash towards the lich gate. Should he offer her a lift to wherever she lived? Camargue decided that his legs were inadequate to running after her, especially through 6-inch deep snow. When he reached the gate, he saw her getting into a car driven by a man at least old enough to be her father. He felt a pang for her. Was this the bridegroom? And then the absurdity of such a thought coming from him struck him forcefully, and with a sense which he often had of the folly of human beings and their blindness to their own selves. Ted was waiting in the Mercedes, reading the news of the world, hands in woolen gloves. He had the engine running to work the heater and the wipers and the demisters. When he saw Camargue, he jumped out and opened the rear door. "There you are, Sir Manuel. I put a rug in, seeing it's got so perishing." "What a kind chap you are," said Camargue. "It was jolly cold in church. Let's hope it'll warm up for the wedding." Ted said he hoped so, but the long-range weather forecast was as gloomy as per usual. If he hadn't held his employer in such honour and respect, he would have said he'd have his love to keep him warm. Camargue knew this and smiled to himself. He pulled the rug over his knees. Dinah, he thought. My Dinah. Towards her he felt a desire as passionate, as youthful, as intense as any he had known as a boy. But he would never touch her. He knew better than that, and his mouth curled with distaste at the idea of it, of him and her together. It would be enough for him that she would be his dear companion. For a little while. They had entered the gates and were mounting the long, curving drive that led up to the house. Ted drove in the 2 channels, now filling once more with snow, which he had dug out that morning. From the smooth, pure, and radiant whiteness, flung like a soft and spotless cloth over the hillocks and little valleys of Camargue's garden, rose denuded silver birches, poplars and willows, and the spikes of conifers, dark green and slate blue and golden yellow, as snugly clothed as gnomes. The jam factory came into view quite suddenly. Camargue called it the jam factory, or sometimes the shoebox, because it was unlike any of the houses around. Not mock or real Tudor, not fake or genuine Georgian, but a long box with lots of glass, and at one end, dividing the original building from the newer wing, a tower with a peaked roof like an oast house. Perched on the weather vane, a facsimile of a treble clef in wrought iron, was a seagull driven inland in its quest for food. It looked as white as the snow itself against the cinder-dark sky. Ted's wife Muriel opened the front door. You entered the house at the lower level, where it was built into the hillside. There was a wide hall here which led through an arch into the dining room. "It's so cold, sir," said Muriel, "that I'm cooking you a proper lunch, since you said you wouldn't be going to Mrs. Sternhold's." "Jolly thoughtful of you," said Camargue, who no longer much cared what he ate. Muriel took his coat away to dry it. She and Ted lived in a house in the grounds, a period piece, and as much unlike the jam factory as could be. Camargue liked her to have her afternoons off, and all of her Sundays, but he couldn't be always checking her generous impulses. When he was halfway up the stairs, the dog Nancy came down to meet him, wide smiling mouth, and eager pink tongue and young, strong paws capable of sending him flying. She was his 5th Alsatian, a rich roan colour, just 2 years old. The drawing-room, 2 of its walls entirely glass, shone with a curious light that is uniquely reflected of